Okay. In those days the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north. Are they in the land of the north now? No. So that means there's going to be some changes coming. In order to come out of the land of the north, we've got to get there first. So that's the simple message. In a nutshell, that's my message today. That we're going to be doing a bit of a trek. It's not a Star Trek either. It's a land trek. So in those days the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north, to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. So we read this stuff, and then it just goes completely over our head. And I'm trying to emphasise it today. We're going to the north country. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. I mean, talk about spelling it out. You know, when this stuff actually happens, we're going to say, my goodness gracious me, why didn't I see that before? And the father will say, well, son, I like to keep surprises in plain view all along. So that you... It's funny, years ago my mum would change something in the house, like the curtains or the sofa, she'll move it. And then 6 months later I'll go, something's changed. You know, it takes me a while to sometimes notice things that are right in front of me. Usually when I can't see something, it's because it's right there. And I can't see it. What's that?
It's the best place to hide something.
Exactly. Hidden in plain sight. And it's right there. We can't see it. Well, I'm just putting my finger on it. So what I'm giving, I'm plagiarising Jeremiah. He actually wrote the book. He says, Rory, you know, you're writing on my coattails. And I'm saying, Jeremiah, I'm just trying to get across what you actually already said. I'm just pointing to it. And Jeremiah goes, that's okay, son. So Zechariah 2:6. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, saith the Lord. So, there we go again. There's going to be a time to go to the land of the north, and there's going to be a time to leave. And there's going to be a time to come into America, there's going to be a time to leave also. And we're not going to leave because all of a sudden we decide to leave. We're going to leave because we're going to get booted by circumstances. That's the Lord. So if I was living here in America, I would not be locking and loading to win back America. I'm locking and loading to save my wife, my children, my family, my friends, my community, so that we don't have to abort babies and teach our children homosexuality. You know, so my identity is not wrapped up in being an Australian. This is in the Arkansas sort of hat, but it's pretty close to an Australian one. I just put this on the edge. It's an Australian slouch hat now, and but I'm not trying to save Australia. My heart's not tied to that country, thankfully, or New Zealand. My heart is tied to my Father and His Word. So, when it's time to leave, and of course I'm a single guy, so it's a lot easier, but we'll know when it's time to leave. We'll know when it's time to leave. Just like the Israelites knew when it's time to leave Egypt. And this nation, if it's that time, it's going to be a sort of place eventually where it's not so difficult to leave. You know. So, but, you know, if God has blessed us here, He can bless us somewhere else. It's okay. Walmart won't take long to set up shop wherever we go. The only problem is I do pray that they make the aisles a bit... I need a skateboard to get from one end to the other. Okay, so there's other references to the North Country elsewhere in Scripture. I'm not going to go through them all. But it's written extensively in Jeremiah and in Zechariah. Okay, so I believe that we've got some great devastation coming to the earth, and I can't sugarcoat this, because we've got to come out of this country to the North Country. So I'll just skip this slide. Eventually, my difference, where I differ with Protestant Southern Baptist Bible teachers, is that they think this stuff over here, the bride goes to see the apostasy, the man of sin being revealed, and then the 70-year tribulation, they think that's coming now. I believe we're in a similar period where the church is asleep, if you like, but we're not the bride just yet, because we've got too many spots on our garment. We're just learning about those spots, and one of those spots is our Torahlessness. In many ways, Christians have been keeping the Torah to a certain degree, and and God has treated the church as a Gentile thing, and Gentiles were to keep away from things strangled and from blood, and all those prohibitions. But what's happening is that we're awakening to the feasts and the Sabbath. Well, that's different, because that's a sign between me and Israel. Many rabbis are a bit upset about us doing that, because they say, who are you, a Gentile, to keep the Torah? And I'm saying, well, look, God put on my heart to do these things. And who am I? I'm nobody, but I might just be your brother. And we'll see in time anyway. We're at a stage where we're awakening up as individuals and as congregations, but we're not a nation just yet that's put together. Before we come together with the house of Judah, we will become our own nation. And that means we're going to be leaving Uncle Sam. You can't put two nations together unless they're two nations. We're just a series of congregations that are arguing with each other and kind of getting to love each other. It's like that. So we're on the road, but we've got some way to go yet. But I think that that the Lord that has woken us to Torah is going to keep on working. He's going to keep on moving. So we're told that in Zechariah 5 that God is going to regather, not only Israel, but last days Babylon to her place. Wickedness is going to return to the land of Shinar. And I'm not going to go through all this for the sake of time. I'm going to just launch it out into the deep. Why have I said there's World War III? Well, it's to get the house of Israel out of America, and to get us to the North Country, as I understand this. So we'll see. If I'm right, we'll be in the North Country in some stage, because God's turned the world upside down. And perhaps in this one way, the New World Order guys are creating the chaos in order for us to leave. They're not my friends, by the way, but all things are working together for good. And ultimately, even though they're causing bad things here, it's because God has already pronounced judgment. And but it's not a hopeless thing, because God is a covenant keeper. Yahweh Elohim is a covenant keeper, not a covenant breaker. We're covenant breakers, but He's not a covenant breaker. He's a covenant keeper. Because He's a covenant keeper, He's going to cut the house of Israel to the bone. He says, though the house of Israel be like the sand of the seashore for multitude, only a remnant shall be saved. He says also regarding the house of Israel, though the house of Israel, this is not the house of Judah, this is the house of Israel. Though the house of Israel be like the sand of the seashore for multitude, only a remnant will be saved. And then he says, unless He had left them a very small remnant, they would have been as Sodom and Gomorrah. He doesn't just say a small remnant, he says a very small remnant. So my advice and my commendation is hold on to the very small remnant that you've got. It may get better. I pray it does. I hope it does. I believe it will. But in comparison to all of Israel, that's much more numerous than the house of Judah. The house of Israel, and the Ephraim in particular, is far more numerous. But an east wind is going to blow against him and wither his branches and dry up his wells and his fountains. There's no way to avoid this. We're going to have collective punishment, not only to the house of Judah, but also to the house of Israel. So this is why we need to walk in his fear. Because God is a covenant keeper, he's going to cut the house of Israel to the bone, and he's going to bring the remnant out by blood and fire. So God help us. And I'm not downcast by that thought. I'm saying, lead me on, Father. I fear the Lord, Yahweh. He's our daddy, but he's also the judge of all the earth. So this great conflagration that I see coming is going to allow us to come together as one nation under God. Okay, two nations. There's the house of Judah there, but the house of Israel is coming together. We have to return to the Hebrew language, not just us, but our children. That takes time. Okay, yes, an angel from heaven can come down, and Tinkerbell can wave a magic fairy dust, and all of a sudden I'm going Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, but it actually takes time to learn Hebrew. It takes time. Good things take time. And it takes time to have children and to train them up in the ways of Yahweh. And it takes time for them to learn the Hebrew language and to learn the Hebrew culture and to begin to understand the Torah in a much richer and deeper way, and the New Covenant in a much richer and deeper way. And I can see the North Country being like an aircraft carrier where we touch down, we get our biblical culture together, we come together as a nation, we take off, cross the ditch over the Euphrates and back and into our expanded Greater Israel. And we join with the house of Judah, and that'll be a great day. And we're in fact told great will be the day of Jezreel. So another reason for a great world war is to bring judgment upon the wicked. We've got a nation, the Western world, the Eastern world is becoming wicked. You know, the Arabs are filled with violence, and we're becoming ripped apart by sexual depravity in the West. And so, because the Lord is a covenant keeper, he's going to destroy those that destroy the earth and defile the land. If he kicked out the Canaanites, he's also going to deal with the modern day Canaanites. And he's going to judge our Sodom and Gomorrah cities by fire. There's no way to escape that. We have the blood of the innocents upon our land in Australia, and America has it also with the unborn babies that are terminated and then sold on the black market, on the stock exchange or whatever, for body parts. So we're living in Babylon in that sense, very much so. And they're trading in the bodies and souls of men and babies. So the centre of power is going to move from where it is here in America to the Middle East when we return. The good guys are returning to Israel in the North Country, the bad guys are returning to Babylon. So that's another part of the reason for World War III is so that wickedness will have a house built for her in the land of Shinar. We'll read through that shortly. How are people going for time? Are you're fading? Because we can have a break at some stage. What's that?
Maybe a little restroom break and then get a drink break?
Let's stop right now and then come back into it, and we'll talk about last day's Babylon.